Young one.
Ring around like those dirty rings.
Webster is next on BCTV.
Good morning. Politics can sometimes be exciting. Sitting in our studio in Victoria this morning is the social credit dissident, Jack Kempf, former caucus chairman. Simple question for Jack, not now though. I just want to know if he's going to cross the floor and reduce the social credit majority to 1. Mr. Kempf will give us, I'm sure, his blunt opinions. Also today, we're going to have a man who has the gall to run for alderman in the city of Vancouver, a man by the name of, an academic, by the way, Nathan Divinsky, fresh from his triumphs at the school board, where apparently they hired 50 teachers by mistake. Another very bright fellow, his voice is worse than mine, who is running for the opposition for alderman, is Sunday opening Harry Emma. And Harry and I should have a bit of fun. And we'll put these two guys, each of whom is a neophyte in Aldermanic politics, together to see how little or how much they in fact know. But to bring you back to the real world of ordinary people, Anton is going to make a quick trip, has made the quick trip, let me not kid you, to a backyard in North Vancouver, where they're going to steal the backyard and build a fire hall next to the rather nice little house. It can happen to you, too. But first, to Victoria for Jack Kempf after the break. Since he lost a job as the caucus chairman for social credit, Jack Kempf has been making rebellious and dissident noises. Mr. Kempf, just give me a simple answer to a simple question. When will you cross the floor and leave the ranks of social credit and sit as a maverick independent in the House?
Well, good morning, Jack, and that's a very interesting question to start off with. I will not cross the floor at any time until I think it's of benefit to my constituents.
Until you think if it's, that time might be at the next election?
Well, you never can tell, Jack, and there's been a lot of speculation, and immediately it would appear in this society of ours that that a member of the legislature speaks up, but whether or not he happens to be on the government side of the House, he's immediately a rebel and is immediately looking at either crossing the floor and sitting as an independent or defecting to another party. You know, I really don't understand the thinking in this regard.
I can.
Well,
I
really
can, because normally backbenchers in social credit and or NDP administrations in Victoria, with the one exception of Jack Davis, which are special circumstances, toe the line very much in public about the confidence in their leader. And it would seem to me that you might tell me now why you lack confidence in Premier Bennett's leadership.
Well, Jack, I've never really said that I've lacked confidence in the Premier's leadership. The exercise which I'm going through, I believe, is in regard to what I feel are my 3 priorities. My first priority as an elected member is to my constituents. My second priority, as I see it, is to the mandate that I was given and that we were given as government both back in 1975 and again in 1979,
Agreed,
a mandate on a philosophy.
But what has Bennett done wrong to cause you to be telling your constituents and other people that you're unhappy with his job?
Well, I think, Jack, that we are doing things and as well are not doing things that that would meet the mandate that we were given in 1975.
Be specific if you can, Jack, because I can only understand specifics.
Well, specifically, and I've mentioned two pieces of legislation of late, one that has gone through the House and one that's being floated as a white paper. The legislation that was passed in August, the Utilities Commission Act, I feel, is just a rehash of the 1974 N.P.A. Energy legislation. The kind of legislation that I campaigned against. One of the planks in my platform in 1975 was against, to be against that kind of legislation.
Well, we've got to fill in the public. You're talking about the BCUC, Utilities Commission, to which Bert Price's something or other has been appointed, and which I believe the N.P.A. are rubbing their hands with glee because it's totally socialist legislation which puts all the energy power in the hands of the cabinet. Is that right?
Well, that's correct, Jack. And certainly there was very good reason why that particular piece of legislation went through the House in one short hour.
Why?
The N.P.A. didn't want to debate it. It was the kind of legislation that they themselves would have brought in.
Do you feel that when Bennett took power, he didn't clean out enough of the N.P.A. structure and N.P.A. people?
Well, certainly the bureaucracy that existed when we took office in 1975, almost all of that bureaucracy, of course, is still in place.
But do you feel that there are individuals appointed by the N.P.A. who've been left there by social credit, who are kind of infiltrating the philosophy, and that the civil servants are running the whole government?
Well, I would certainly think so, and I've said this before, Jack. It's not the politicians that are running this province; it's the bureaucrats, and I think that's a mistake. I think that's a problem.
Well, now, you were involved in that unhappy affair as caucus chairman when we were told you were away fishing at the time of the dirty tricks. Do you feel you were shabbily treated by the Premier and the colleagues when you became no longer the caucus chairman?
Well, no, Jack. I resigned as caucus chairman, as you may remember. Certainly, I was not turfed out. I don't think it's incumbent upon me to go back and rehash those days of the so-called dirty tricks. They're over and done with, and certainly what I'm doing now, and I guess I've been outspoken ever since being elected, has absolutely nothing to do with the dirty tricks affair.
Perhaps you might even feel that there should have been a public inquiry into the Eckert Preluption Vogel report on the alleged gerrymandering.
Well, I've always been a proponent, Jack, of open government, of true and fair government. Maybe there should have been in that case. Maybe the public is too much in the dark as to exactly what the situation was there.
Well, that's quite positive. You're not quite sure that it should all have been shoveled underneath the carpet in an internal investigation.
Well, I don't believe that government should shovel anything under the carpet, Jack. And I'm not saying that in this case there has been something shoveled under the carpet. But I do believe that the people out there, the people of the province of British Columbia, aren't really sure of exactly what went on in that situation.
And I'm sure the Premier has had little chats with you, telling you where you're wrong and why you should be a really solid, faithful member in every way, which you don't appear to be at the moment, of social credit.
Well, no, I can truthfully say there haven't been any of those kinds of chats, Jack. But I can say as well that I have never seen the inside of the cabinet room. You know, maybe because I'm outspoken and maybe because I speak on behalf of those whom I represent, my constituents, that will never be, but so be it if that's the case.
Do I detect a little bit of sour grapes? You and Nick Musalem are the only ones elected as far back as '75 who haven't had cabinet posts.
Well,
not
Jack,
Nick Musalem.
A cabinet post is not really of interest to me. I got into provincial politics to represent the people of Omenica, and I'm quite happy to be doing that. I just don't understand why in our society one should be considered a rebel just because he speaks out on behalf of those people whom he represents.
Jack, don't be overly modest, please. You could reasonably expect a cabinet post, other things apart, and you're unhappy because you haven't even been considered.
No, I'm not, Jack.
You're not?
No, I'm not.
But you don't think the Premier's doing a good job, do you?
Well, Jack, I have said that there are areas in which I would like to see change in the policy and direction of this government. And that's really, I guess, why I'm going through the exercise I am. I feel that direction and policy change is necessary to live up to the mandate that we were, the very strong mandate that we were given back in 1979 and again in 1975 and again in 1979.
Fair enough. Are there a group of you, social credit backbenchers, who might well be leading a little rebellion against the lackluster leadership you obviously feel the Premier has?
Well, Jack, I can't speak for my colleagues, and right at the present time, I feel very alone.
Except for, isn't Davis also a kind of independent social credit backbencher?
Well, he's spoken his mind, of course, Jack, but I have not conferred with Jack in what I've been doing.
The tricky thing is, of course, that while you've technically in the House got a 5-seat majority, with one member sick, if you switch, there'd only be a 1-vote majority for social credit in the House if you switch.
Well, it's certainly, and this went through my mind prior to going public, it's certainly an opportune time for me to pressure my own administration for the changes that I'm looking for.
Under the inherent or the implicit threat that if things go too badly or you're treated too roughly, you will cross the floor.
Well, certainly I would hope that wouldn't happen, Jack, and I don't think it will. Again, I'm just trying to invoke change within my own party and within my own government. That seems to have gotten lost in the shuffle. The talk is that I'm going to be crossing the floor or that I'm going to be siding with the PCs. This is not so. Certainly I would not do anything that drastic until conferring firstly with my constituents, and I wouldn't do it, as I said before, until there was an advantage to my constituents.
In other words, you won't do it until you really have to.
That is correct.
Thank you, Jack Kempf, Social Credit M.L.A. Oh, I forgot. What is it you want for Omenica that you haven't been given?
Well, Jack, I want for Omenica, I guess one of the real issues in my constituency is commando completion, and it's one of the reasons that I've spoken up at this time. I feel that the government hasn't given me clear enough indication so that I can pass that clear indication on to the people in my constituency who are very concerned for commando completion in regard to just where the government stands
and you've got
on that project.
You've a nasty feeling that Alcan will get what it wants.
Well, it better not, Jack, because I, for one, will not stand for the loss of the Nechako River in my constituency.
My thanks to Jack Kempf, Social Credit M.L.A. for Omenica, who won't cross the floor until he really has to. Oh. However, we know where his position is. Next, we're going to talk to the school board chairman of Vancouver, who has the goal to run for alderman with the N.P.A. It's not often one meets people in public life who are always evocative, provocative, sometimes humorous, and are willing to admit mistakes. Such a man is Nathan Divinsky, secure, tenured professor at UBC, teaches math to half a dozen youngsters, hopefully. And Nathan, you're here because of your boo-boo, you know. Your candidacy for T.E.A.M is purely coincidental.
My candidacy for what?
For N.P.A. It's purely coincidental. But first, I want to ask you a personal question.
A personal question?
Personal question.
Yes.
I didn't know you carried a purse.
Well, it's not technically a purse. You see, I have my pipe and matches and pipe tobacco and a digger, and if things go very rough, from my students.
An apple for the teacher. I mustn't be too nice to you this morning.
No.
How could you, a mathematics professor, allow, and I'm deadly serious now, such a brutal mistake to go through as to hire for Vancouver School Board 50 unnecessary teachers at a cost of $1.3 million because you can't count?
I can't count. I once made an adding mistake in 1931. We instructed the officials, the highly paid and efficient officials of the Vancouver School Board, to hold the line. That means that whatever level of services we were giving the students of Vancouver in 1978, we wanted to give them the same level of service in 79 and in 80.
And now you're building up to blame the staff, but kindly tell me what went wrong.
No, it's a very subtle point. We have what is called a PTR.
A PTR.
A pupil-teacher ratio. This is an arithmetic number developed in Victoria. And this is used to decide how many teachers to hire. But the PTR doesn't mean that's how many kids there are in an average class.
Don't confuse me. Don't blind me with science. Did you or did you not hire 50 extra teachers by mistake? Yes or no?
Yes. Yes.
Well, forget your PTR. What was the mistake?
The mistake was that instead of holding the PTR at a level of 19-1, our officials decided to hold the actual class size
To 25.7 to 1.
Right. And that, in fact, the two numbers are not identical. There are administrators in between. There are special classes.
Have you now got 50 teachers too many?
This resulted in 30 teachers too many.
That's only $850,000.
Yes, as long as it's less than $1 million. But we hired 20 more teachers in the secondary schools, not because of mistake, but because the enrollment in September, early September, when the kiddies came to school,
Kiddies.
the young, beautiful flowers that we have to impregnate, we hired teachers for them. And then at the end of September, every year for the last 15 years, the enrollment has gone up. The enrollment this time, for the first time, went down.
I could have told you why. You
Why?
didn't think about it. Your officials didn't think about it.
Why?
There's a very low ratio of unemployment in British Columbia at the moment, and because jobs are available, it's under 4%, they went and got jobs.
We lost 400 secondary students.
That's why, though.
In September. Why didn't it happen last year?
Because jobs are easier and better to find this year than last year.
I see.
But your PTR people, nor you, nor anybody else, thought of that factor.
We behaved in the most impeccable fashion. The trustees instructed the officials to hold the line, to keep taxes under control. The officials did a conscientious job holding the class size the same.
But it went wrong.
But it went slightly out of
Will you
focus.
fire these teachers now?
We have sent the whole problem to one of our committees in which trustees and officials will work. I think there will be some shifting in the secondary area where we have the 20 extra because the enrollment dropped.
But I asked if you're going to fire any.
Well, it's up to the committee. Let me put it to you this way. Suppose you were told to keep the same level of service. Doesn't it make perfectly good sense to say that means keep the class sizes the same? What has the PTR got to do with anything?
Nothing.
That's an official number. So in my opinion, the officials, in fact, did what we wanted them to do. The only thing was the PTR went down.
Well, that's the wrong thing to do. 19.6 last year, a PTR.
19 down to 18.6.
Perfectly good.
Well,
You should have told them keep the PTR in the classroom the same.
That's what we said. Keep the PTR the same, and that, in fact, would have meant the class sizes would have gone up. There's an interesting aspect to this. We have some people who have been criticizing us for not spending more money.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yes, yes. And they claim that we need more teachers. And one of their claims was we need at least 50 more teachers. They didn't notice that we had 50 more teachers. They kept complaining, and I think they are more embarrassed in a sense than we are. We instructed the officials in the proper way.
Who are you talking about? Teachers Federation?
Some of the Teachers Federation, some of the people in the public who just are attacking us because they feel we're heavy-handed with the money.
I like what my friend Westlake said. If we ran the business of the country that way, which we do, we would be bankrupt, which we are. But that was a good comment. Enough of that.
It's not a good comment.
Anyway, you plead guilty to misunderstandings.
I plead guilty, but in a good way, and I think that if the situation had been made to us at budget time and said, do you want to keep the class size the same? Or do you want to keep the PTR the same? I have a feeling that the board might well have said, if we want to keep the same level of service, we want to keep the class size the same.
It's your mistake. I told you that 5 minutes ago.
But that's what it is right now. We have kept the class size the same. It would have been a mistake to base everything on this funny number.
Yes. What is this power trip you're on? After 2 years in school board.
6.
2 years as chairman.
2 years as chairman.
Is this so I can count up to 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It's just that I don't trust anyone with arithmetic
Is
anymore.
this how you teach them at UBC? 2 and 2 is 4, and now you've got an M.A. in maths?
No, you don't get an M.A. for
What do
just
you
counting
get?
up to 4.
Oh, I thought you did.
Incidentally, you hinted at the beginning that I might be teaching very small classes. You might be interested to know that my freshman class this year has 212 very delightful students.
Fresh person class, you fool.
Fresh.
A man who carries a purse should know never to say fresh man. He should say fresh person.
Well, am I running for alder person or alderman?
You were going to be one of the older people. I had a guy on yesterday that did that. Now, this power trip you're on, Nathan.
Yes.
Mind you, I realize that you're semi-retired.
Semi-retired.
You've got tenure, and you teach 6 hours a week, and you've lots of time. And it's nice of you to donate your time on your power trip. But what makes you think you can cope with aldermanic jobs?
I have not been altogether happy with the level of debate at City Hall.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking forward to seeing you and Harry Rankin together.
Well, not together. We might be apart, but I can't help feeling that the debate at the school board over the past few years has risen a great deal, and we have come to grips with difficult issues.
Because of your influence.
Partly,
And
yes.
your intellectual superiority.
Not superiority, no. A certain lucky training that I had.
Mm-hmm.
The same lucky training that you had.
Well, that's just genes. That's not training. Okay, now I'm not going to break yet. What is your program as Alderman of the City of Vancouver? What is your field of expertise? What do you think of appointing a chief police without open competition? What do you think of the state of the police force? What do you think of the state of the City Hall? What do you think of this stupid poster bylaw where they want to give people 2 months in jail or a $2,000 fine for advertising the Workers' Revolutionary Party on a pole?
Which number would you like me to start with?
Do you have a platform as Alderman, or do you merely...
Yes.
Okay.
I genuinely do.
You
First
do.
of all, I want to try and raise the level of debate. I have some experience in civic politics, having been a trustee for 6 years. I know my way around the officials who often run things, and I like to think that we have, as trustees of the school board, taken over to a large extent from the officials who used to run it. And I can't help feeling that probably the same thing is going on at City Hall. I like to think that I can get things done in terms of getting Victoria's cooperation. I seem to be on friendly terms with the people in Victoria on both sides of the fence. With respect to the poster bylaw, for example, I'm a great believer in freedom. Lots of freedom. More freedom than we can imagine. And I trust to the good judgment of the people in the Lower Mainland. With posters, I'm not in favor of the poster bylaw. And
$50 fine if somebody makes a real monkey out of himself by defacing public buildings.
That's different.
Something like that. Okay, that's all you got to say. What do you think of Allred? Are you impressed by the level of debate in the council under your leader?
I am not in favor of his style.
Are you in favor of a ward system?
No.
Oh, you're going to sit out there in the University Endowment Lands or wherever you live on the west side of the city and prevent the proper democratic election of people from their own areas where they know their candidate.
There are 2 reasons why I am against the ward system. One, it has been tried seriously in San Francisco, and very recently there was a big editorial in one of the main San Francisco papers pointing out that it has been an unmitigated disaster because...
You don't have to shout.
Oh, are you speaking to yourself, sir? Because when you are elected from a ward, you do not take as seriously the wide city concerns. And Vancouver is going through major changes now. And to have a ward system where each man is connected or
I'm going to leave the issues to the callers later on.
Yes.
To see if there's, who cares.
Well, the second reason is I think in a cross-city election, you hopefully will get a higher caliber of people. Suppose Einstein...
Enough. Is it a fact that your wife is also running for office?
My wife, who is...
I mean, really? One Divinsky.
Certainly better looking than me.
But 2 Divinsky.
No, she uses her maiden name, Kim Campbell, and she is going to run for school board.
Mm-hmm. Is she another person in that she didn't take your name when you married?
She took my name legally, but she is using her own name in her own professional career.
What is her professional career? I hesitate to ask.
She is doing two things at the moment. She teaches political science at Langara on a part-time basis, and she is going to law school. Why are you shaking your head, sir?
Oh, I suppose you represent one of the really established families in Vancouver. 2 professionals, 2 index pensions, great fun. You're prepared to give a little time to common people. Just hold your breath, Nathan. Kim Campbell, her name is. Free plug.
Yes, yes.
Next, we're going to bring in a man who's closely in touch with reality, unlike the distinguished university professor, and that is the inimitable, indomitable, just as loud as Divinsky and Webster, Harry Hammer. After the break. Harry Hammer, as furniture salesman, has never held before elected office as I recall, but single-handedly, in a rather loud and effective voice, he beat the Vancouver City Hall into the ground, or the provincial government perhaps into the ground, on Sunday shopping. Harry is a single-issue candidate. Harry, take 60 seconds and give yourself one of your inimitable commercials about what you have done, what you will do, and why you, at the age of what, 70?
65.
You could pass for 70. Why you're running for alderman?
Jack, I'll put it straight on the line. First of all, I'm not a single-issue candidate. As a matter of fact, the primary issue in my campaign, which I lay emphasis on, is bringing in and implementing a ward system in the city of Vancouver. I also am very interested in the attitude in city council, an attitude of arrogance, an attitude which passes laws and says in effect to the citizens of this city, you can like it or lump it, this is what we have decided. And since you confine me to 60 seconds, I'll give you a specific example. We'll take the matter of P.E.A. BC, in which a so-called public hearing was held after the city had made a commitment with the BC Development Corporation. And I could go on, and we'll develop it. As a matter of fact, I look at my good friend here, Mr. Divinsky, and without any personal attack, I say he's a qualified candidate for N.P.A., the nasty political association, because his candidacy, as developed by you, is based upon a mistake. And that's what the N.P.A. is, a mistake.
You got to admit he's bright, though. He's brighter than
Very intelligent.
Brighter than the average N.P.A. or team candidate, except yourself,
yeah,
perhaps.
but the criteria is very low. I don't consider it a compliment if you compare me intellectually with Mr. Little, Bernice Gerard, and others that I can name. I don't regard it as a compliment.
I'm praising you.
Yes, I know you are, and I accept it because you're a man of rare judgment when you praise me.
Sunday opening. Let's get that.
Let's clear that
First of all,
up.
let me make something quite clear. I'm younger than you considerably.
How much?
Never mind. Mind your own business. But I'm younger than you.
Well, I answered you.
I'm 62 going
62.
on 39.
I'll give you my pensions.
I am one of those reactionary people who strongly objects to American influences, and you were an American. Racist remark.
Yes, right.
Which wants to turn our green and pleasant land into a black-topped area of night and day shopping 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to the detriment of the working people and to the destruction of social harmony throughout. And I am not a single parent, and I don't have that much sympathy for 24-hour Sunday shopping.
I'm with you 100%.
No, you're not.
Just a minute. Let me develop the point. I listened to your tirade, and you know, we can put Mayor Volrich's name at the beginning of that remark, and it would be correct, too.
I'll sue you for that.
Now, I apologize.
Good.
Yes. There's certain levels I shouldn't descend to. Let me make it very clear. I never advocated Sunday shopping or Sunday closing.
You opened on Sunday.
That's right.
In defiance of the law.
No, I did not defy the law. The city of Vancouver defied the law, and the court said that they defied the law and found for me. Let's get
In apparent defiance of the law at the time.
I don't care. I won my case. And let's get it straight once and for all. I do not advocate Sunday opening or closing. I advocate equal treatment for all. One law for the province of British Columbia. We're back with Bill 56 in the same mess we were in before I started the fight. Do you believe in the process of law?
Yes.
Okay. Justice Gold of the Supreme Court said the city of Vancouver had dirty hands. They were letting certain businesses stay open in contravention of the British Columbia law, and therefore they couldn't close me and let other stores stay open.
I've got the point quite clearly.
Okay.
But you still have the gall to tell me you're not in favor of Sunday opening when you used to open Harry-Amers on Sunday.
Yes, I'll be happy to close 4 days a week.
Providing the same law applies to everyone.
Everybody. Equal treatment for all.
Okay, now, would you agree with me that the social credit government, no guts, passed a law which gave the municipalities and the cities the right to choose their own variation, resulting in a variegated hodgepodge of hours?
And if you examine, yes, I agree, and if you examine the implications of it, they say in Vancouver it's possible to be guilty of an offense that is punishable by $10,000, take 2 minutes, go across the bridge into Surrey or Richmond, and the same act is legal. What kind of public policy is that?
Abominable.
Abominable.
But
See, even Webster and I can agree.
No, I can agree on that. Of course, it's a problem with the gutless social credit government of Victoria.
You said it, and I endorse it.
You endorse that?
Yes, sir. Let's
Okay.
get into the real issues of this campaign.
Name one.
The basic issue in this campaign is the appalling apathy upon the part of the citizens vis-a-vis an election in which, and contrary to what Mr. Divinsky said about San Francisco, Vancouver is the only large city in North America which does not have a ward system.
Okay, enough. Question. Have you paid your $2,500 levy to the N.P.A. for campaign funds?
That's a very interesting question.
Have you paid it?
It has been collected on my behalf.
You, as a candidate, under the fairly new rules of the N.P.A., want $7,500 from the mayor, or $6,000, but he gave them $7,500. You have to pay $2,500 from your sources before you can run for alderman. What is this, buying office?
I am not happy with that
Were
policy.
you told you would have to raise $2,500 for the coffers?
No.
Yes, you were.
No.
Well, you've admitted that $2,500 has been raised on your behalf.
Yes.
Do you know that the note holders of N.P.A. who financed the past elections for $27,000 are very unhappy that notes haven't been paid off over a period of 4 years?
I think they're much happier today than they were. Can I make a...
No, just a second.
May I
Just be quiet,
Okay.
please.
Yes, sir.
What are the team regulations? How much money did you have to put up?
The team regulations are very specific. If you're a candidate and you spend money over and above what team does, you contribute $2,000 to the team campaign.
Have you
coffin.
done that?
Yes, sir.
Are you a wealthy man?
No, but I'm not poor.
And of course, we know you're secure.
But what does that got
I
to
have
do
a
with it?
small, secure income.
If you're not
Mr.
careful, I'll
Webster,
ask you.
I must interfere. Equal time. Have I exhausted my time in which we're one-on-one?
Yes.
Okay, it's your program.
How much time has he had right now? How much time has he had right now? I want the answer from the 4 clue. How much time has been in Harry Hammer? How much time? You've got another minute.
Okay, in 1 minute, I want to say this. First of all, the fact that you're not a poor man doesn't preclude the fact that you look at things objectively.
Yeah.
Right. So I want the same understanding given to me. Okay, let's get down to basic issues. We have an attitude in City Council in which we have a group of people who are a majority. They inflict their morality. They disenfranchise the people. Why shouldn't we have community input in the forms of aldermen running in a ward who have a close relationship with their constituency?
Why, you know why we don't have it.
Of course I know why.
Why do we not have it?
Why?
Why do we not have it?
Because it enables a small group of people, and you run a popularity contest, and you select them because you know that they're going to toe the line.
No, let me put it in plain words for you, Harry.
Yeah.
Even though I'm younger, I've been around in the field longer. The reason Ulrich and company are against the ward system is that they know that the activists of the N.P.A. and COPE would sweep in local wards.
That's a crock of nonsense. You take any society in which you increase the democratic base.
They fear.
Sure. When they get up in the morning and they see the sun is red, they think it's a communist plot.
Enough. Mr. Divinsky, there's nothing there for you to answer.
The ward system, in my opinion,
It's no good.
should go on if the large majority of the people.
Oh, don't give me that
want it.
large majority crap.
Numbers
Oh,
have-
mind your language. Crock and crap are bad words, and they are not allowed in this program. Telephone calls after the break. Oh, before we go to the telephone calls, there's a little piece of byplay that I must get out of the way. I hope somebody has phoned Russ Fraser. Is it a 15-second count? To get attention on the Webster program, you must have a gimmick. Russ Fraser came up with a gimmick, which we shall demonstrate like this. Well, here I am in a Cadillac, driving along Beach Avenue in one of the most beautiful parks in the whole wide world, for a special reason. I'll tell you about the Cadillac and where I am. 2099 Beach Avenue in Vancouver. Here we come, here we arrive. Yes. Well, first time I've been in the Parks Board offices for about 20 years, I think, and I want to draw your attention to the vehicle in which I drove to this magnificent assignment. Can you see it? It says Parks 1. Parks 1. Right now. Who, ladies and gentlemen, would have a license plate Parks 1? None other than Russ Fraser. Mr. Fraser, nice of you to act as my chauffeur for today.
Jack, my pleasure. Nice to see you.
What is this piece of arrogance that you have a Cadillac with Parks 1 on the license plate?
No, Jack, there's no arrogance at all. That stands for Parks First. My view is, of course, that the Parks Board does more for more people than anything else, and I just thought I'd have a little fun with it.
Oh, I thought it was because you were the chairman of the Board of Park and Recreation thing.
No. More philosophical than that.
Answer the question, witness. When did you get that license plate?
I got it as soon as I could.
How long ago was that?
Oh, I ordered it last year, and I've got it about the end of 1979.
Was that before or after you were chairman of the Parks Board?
No, that was before.
Oh, how did you know you were going to be chairman?
Well, I didn't. Like I said, it was a philosophical thing, not a position thing.
And you made it part of your campaign to become chairman that your license plate was Parks 1. Hey?
No. Actually, as I said, I love being the chairman of the Parks Board, no doubt about that. And if that helps people find me, then that's fine, too.
Anyone who sees Parks 1 can stop you and complain about the state of the neighborhood park.
That's right, and compliment us, too.
Good gimmick, too, because it drew my attention to you, and the fact is that you're probably running for re-election.
Indeed I am. I look forward to it, too. The Parks Board is a super office.
Oh, please, no praise.
No praise.
$20 million operation?
At least. Minimum cost, net cost to the city, about $14 million.
Are you running for COPE?
Of course not, N.P.A.
Of course, the establishment. Sir, the blazer, can we get it? Beautiful. What does it say? Park Commissioner. Is that supplied by the city?
No, yes.
Free.
The jacket wasn't.
The jacket I won't ask you the price of, but you'll get this for free.
That's right, we do.
Just while we're annoyed, let's turn around a little bit. Do these people get free tennis?
Yes, they do.
Why should they get free tennis? If I play golf in the city, I got to pay my fee.
If you play golf or swim or go to ice rinks or whatever, you pay. The tennis people don't at the moment, but there's been a lot of discussion about whether they should, and it's my feeling that they should be given a chance to contribute to the system like all the other activity users.
You mean they should pay?
That's right.
Well, why don't you get it done this year if you are elected?
Well, we will be elected, and we will try.
Okay, can we drive off again in Parks 1?
Sure.
Thank you very much. Parks 1. Parks 1. I'm going to get one. What'll mine be? Can't think of it offhand. BCTV 1. That'll do. It wasn't until after I had interviewed Mr. Fraser that I came up with this levy on those running for office for N.P.A. Parks Board have to put up $300. School Board, $400 a candidate. Alderman, $2,500 a candidate. The Mayor, $6,000. Mr. Volrich, I believe, was extraordinarily generous and kicked in $7,500. One of the problems, for your gentlemen's knowledge, at the moment is that there are two note holders who advanced money in the tough times for N.P.A., one of whom is owed $21,000 on a note, and one of whom is owed $6,000 on a note, $27,000. Now, I understand collections ain't all that good, despite the apparent confidence of N.P.A., and they're down $30,000 or $40,000 in the collections. It's a tricky financial formula, but I suppose a bona fide of $2,500 or $6,000 from the Mayor is a fair thing to do. Zlotnick of N.P.A., I understand, has put up $10,000.
Zlotnick of
T.E.A.M. has put, no, it seemed to be, has put up $10,000.
Well, let me explain something.
How much did you put up, Harry?
$2,000.
$2,000.
Collected money from people who are supporting me. I'm not financing my campaign. I wouldn't run for office because I would feel that I didn't have public support. But examine the implications of the money. If we had a ward system.
Ward.
Yeah, ward.
Ward.
Okay.
Where does that accent come from?
The same place yours came from, your parents and your environment.
You mean the Bronx?
No, yes, the Bronx.
The Bronx.
Yes, that's where it came from. But I would say to you in all modesty,
pronounce the word.
Listen to my thoughts, not the way I express them.
Harry, the important thing is to give an impression to people. What you say doesn't really matter. How do you pronounce water? W-A-T-E-R.
H2O.
Water.
Water. Now let me get back to the money.
I don't think I should.
You know, it's very important.
Do you think I should, Nathan?
Yes, I do.
No, I think money is not the issue here.
No, it is the issue.
You're embarrassed by this money.
It is the issue, a fundamental issue, because an alderman running for election in this city has to appeal to a constituency larger than any member who runs for the federal parliament or who runs for the legislative assembly. And he can't go door knocking because he doesn't have a riding. And it takes money to get out and get to the people.
Finger. Okay, if we can demonstrate the finger on television, we're going to go to telephone calls, and I take no responsibility for what may have been produced by our tirades this morning. Go ahead to these two distinguished gentlemen.
Good morning, Mr. Webster.
Up a wee bit.
Two comments to the alder persons that are running. I'm in favor of a ward system. I lived in the city of Calgary for 4 years where there was a ward system, and it made the elected representatives available to the people living in that area. And I feel that this
sometimes leads to what we used to call jiggity-pookery, and it leads to selfishness in that the ward, if you have a ward alderman, he's committed to that particular area and doesn't look at the broad scope of things.
Are the members of parliament corrupt? Are the members of the legislative assembly corrupt? Why should there be a different standard?
Not a question of being corrupt, Harry. It's a question of focusing your attentions on the greatest good for the greatest number.
And that's it.
Go ahead, please.
Hello. I was wondering, can anybody run for alderman?
There's an interesting comment on that, and one of the reasons perhaps I'm not going to run for school board again, but
look to that camera,
run for alderman.
Camera 2.
2? Is that a 2?
The man is inside the camera. Speak to him now.
In order to run for school board, you have to swear that you are not insane. Did you know that?
How did you manage?
But I barely made it. But in order to run for alderman, you don't have to swear that you're not insane. In other words, you can be cuckoo and run for alderman. But you must be sane to run for school.
You mean certificated?
Well, you have to swear this.
Did this fellow ask?
Otherwise, anyone can run for alderman. You have to be 19 years old. You have to have lived in British Columbia for 12 months. You have to be a British subject.
And you have to be a resident of the city of Vancouver.
What? No. You have to have resided in some municipality in British Columbia for 12 months.
To run for Vancouver?
To run for Vancouver.
Sure, by virtue of the fact that you own property here, you can run.
You don't have to own property.
We have, that's true. To vote, you do. We have the most undemocratic...
No, to vote, you don't have to own property.
Rent.
I said, but you can own property and not be a resident and vote.
Was your question answered?
Yes, but I have one more.
Yes, please.
Can anything be done about the real estate situation?
Housing.
I was just thinking the prices in Vancouver are really going up, and I think foreign investment is one reason. can't anything be done to regulate that?
Well, that doesn't fall within the province of the city charter, and there's no way the city can do anything about it other than in the area of subsidized housing, where they can give tax concessions and make available city-owned lands on a special lower cost basis for private development.
You in favor of that?
Oh, definitely.
Yes, of course, but
They're going to kick him out of the N.P.A. He's in favor of everything the N.P.A. is against.
what do you mean? The N.P.A. developed Champlain Heights, which is exactly that. They helped build False Creek, which is subsidized housing. I don't know
They
how
were
you...
two team programs initially.
Well,
What do you mean, team? There's no team left anyway.
Well, I'm very much alive and kicking, and so is Dick Durante, another one of
Yeah,
our
but
older
Slotnick is not a serious candidate after
Of course he's serious.
He used to be Volrich's campaign manager.
He's the only candidate running for mayor who has a group of aldermen running with him who have a platform. Jack Volrich is so-called independent.
Would each of you admit to me, please, that the question of mass subsidized housing is not really in the hands of city. It's got to
Right.
be a provincial government
That's
policy.
right.
I was talking to some people from Los Angeles, and they told me prices of houses in Los Angeles. And they said a 4-bedroom house in a good neighborhood in Los Angeles is now selling for $800,000. So prices are going up here. But I expect that they're probably going to go up more, and there isn't very much city council can do about it.
Not about pricing, they can.
No.
Unless they stop the pressure by stopping immigration, or stop wealthy residents, or wealthy non-residents from buying houses.
Well, you know you can't do that and maintain a semblance of democracy.
Agreed. Go ahead, please.
Mr. Hammer,
Yes, ma'am.
I would wish I could thank you, and I am going to thank you for a Sunday opening, and I wish we could have it all the time. On account of my husband gets but one weekend a month off, which gives us one Saturday and Sunday to shop in.
Have we got Sunday opening now?
Yes, until January the 1st, when the new Bill 56 will come into power.
Will that...
And is that going to be a mess?
Thank you. Go ahead, please. Nobody there. Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Yes.
Professor Divinsky, if you get elected, you've just admitted to being party to hiring 50 teachers wrongly. How many figure mistakes will you make when you're in government? $50 million mistakes?
The 50 teachers that were hired inadvertently was not done by the N.P.A. trustees. We officially instructed the officials of the school board to hold the line on the budget. That's our position. That's what we wanted.
It is embarrassing, though, isn't it?
Well, we are going to consider where we are with that now. It is a bit embarrassing, but as I say, in order to hold the line, it's not clear whether you want to keep the class size the same or let it go up. So it wasn't a mistake in the sense that we're lavish.
Thank you, ma'am. Briefly.
Yes, this one mistake is the only good thing the present school board did. They lowered inadvertently the relationship between pupils and teachers, which I think is a good thing.
How many were in your class at school?
In my class in school, about 35.
You were pampered. After the break.
Not by you.
Can you come in on that? See what that is? That's Arizama. That's his campaign gimmick.
It won't hammer in a thumbtack.
Go ahead, please.
Harry?
Yeah,
Yes.
speak up, please.
Is it still Harry or is it Bernie Cohen?
It's never Cohen, it was Coben. My legal name is Harry Hammer.
Well, that was a good, why not? You were established here as Harry Hammer, a good idea to
That's
change your
right.
name.
That's right, sir.
Right, what's the question about?
You've changed your allegiance, you've changed your country, you've changed your name, and obviously now you're trying to change your politics. You must be quite a few of the minority few, because when most people around the world are flocking to the United States to get away from socialism, you come to Canada to do what? To get involved with neo-socialist politics directly yourself.
Harry, put him down as doubtful.
Well, I guess Jack Webster came here from Scotland. I don't know if you were descended from one of the original,
enough of that.
Original native Indians.
We don't need that call.
That's right, we
Go
don't
ahead,
need
please.
Good morning, Jack.
Morning.
I'd like to ask Mr. Divinsky what he meant when he talked earlier in the program about election turnout at with the present at-large system. He referred to a higher caliber of people. What exactly did he mean by that?
If you are restricted to get people from wards, from sections of the city, it would seem to me that you're not going to get as high a caliber of candidates as if you get people chosen from across the city. You may have two outstanding candidates living in one section of the city and no one at that particular time living in another section of the city.
Who said a ward candidate has to be a resident of the ward?
Maybe that's a good idea. Not to have them,
so
yes.
that knocks out your objection, doesn't it?
Yes, that knocks out part of one objection.
You're reading something into there that doesn't apply to most of the jurisdictions that have a ward system.
But once you
a federal member of parliament goes and moves to a district. He gets defeated in one, he goes to another district.
Once you are elected from one ward, you feel a strong obligation to concern yourself primarily with the needs and desires of that ward.
It is desirable to live in the ward.
I'm not sure that that is best for Vancouver at this particular time, because the problems that we're faced with, transit, centers, stadiums, are citywide problems. And it's important to get people to deal with those and concentrate their nervous energies on those problems.
I'll say one thing to you, Sarah. The federal government is concerned with national problems. The provincial government is concerned with provincial problems. Following your logic, we should elect the members of parliament from the entire country and everybody vote for all the members of the parliament. The same logic should apply to the provincial government. The fact of the matter is, you're against a democratic base. All we want is a relationship between the candidate and his district, and he feeds the input in.
It makes no sense.
And you get a consensus government.
It makes no sense to elect people from across Canada.
It makes no sense to elect them from
across Vancouver. I think it does. I think it's
like
a unified community.
I think I'll leave.
Well, let me say this, Harry. If the people of Vancouver want a ward system, that's fine. They should have it.
They want it. They voted 51.7%.
51.7%.
Oh, boy, that's a big number.
The mayor was only elected with 48%.
Enough.
That's why there's another election.
Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Not you.
Could I speak to Harry?
Now, let's stop all the nicety. Go straight at them.
Go right at it.
Right at him?
Yeah.
Right at him.
The jugular.
Now, I demand an apology from Harry Hammer.
Why?
Because when he was going through city council, he said Canadians were second-class citizens.
He did not.
That is a canard, not true at all.
Oh, away with it, really. Some of the people you attract, Harry, are distinctly different.
I can't help the environment your program creates, Jack.
Go ahead, please.
The aroma.
Divinsky.
Sir.
Having heard what you said in regard to the ward system, would it be safe to assume that if Mr. Volrich won the mayoralty race by only 3,000 votes, he would decline office because he did not have a big enough majority?
He didn't have a majority at all. He had a plurality.
Look, to vote in a new system of government like a ward system, it does seem to be reasonable to expect that there should be more than 51%. It's not the same as an election where even one vote can make a difference.
You're a teacher with a
professor.
A professor? Well,
doctor.
Some professors are teachers, not all. With an academic background, and you cite me a historical basis for the statement that this change requires an overwhelming mandate other than a majority.
Don't go from 51% to an overwhelming.
That's what Mayor Volrich said.
Well, I can't answer for Mayor Volrich.
You're running with him. What are you going to do?
Have you ever met Mayor Volrich?
Yes, I have. Let me say one thing about Mayor Volrich.
Yes, please do.
My style is different. My style is different from Mayor Volrich.
Yes.
But if you examine carefully the record of his administration, you know it comes out very well. You may not like his style. You may not like the way he combs his hair. But I tell you, look at the record carefully. A great
May
many...
I respond to that?
No, not yet.
You're undemocratic.
No, I'm not. I'm taking a commercial break like you
Oh,
used
we need
to
the
do.
money. We need the money.
Go ahead to my distinguished guests.
Well, it isn't about your distinguished guests, I'm sorry. It's just on a little lighter vein. When you were entering the park, did you notice that the arrow was an exit rather than an entry?
I plead guilty to a moving vehicle offense, and because of the position of the sunshine, we had to come in the out way so that we could get the light on Parks 1.
Oh, I see. Now I thought that's what you're going to point out, the arrow rather than the license.
No, it was the cameraman and Steve White the third.
A very perceptive viewer.
A very sharp viewer. I wish we had people as sharp as you running for public office.
Right.
From Courtney, which wants to join the battle.
Yeah, good morning. Calling from the land of the mushrooms to the land of disgruntled telephone workers.
Oh, tell me, have you been into the mushrooms this morning?
Yes, we got a statement here for Mr. Hammer and Mr. Divinsky.
Right.
I don't know if either of you would make good aldermen, but I bet damn well you both would make great talk show hosts to run against Mr. Webster on the other two TV stations. I think you're very good, both of you. Thank you.
Neither of them has the discipline nor the ubiquitous knowledge necessary to carry a program like this even on their broad shoulders.
I once did a talk show for a little while.
My dream in life.
What is your dream in life?
Is when I retire from UBC.
Yes.
To have a talk show.
And
by some strange quirk of fate, have you run for public office. And I would interview you. And I would bring out your Scottish ancestry and all your other peccadillos.
That's a racist remark. You're accusing me of being Scottish.
Yeah.
Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Matter of fact, these are two of the few gentlemen in this town who could sit in here cold 90 minutes and at least carry a program with verve and spirit. Verve, V-E-R-V-E. It's not a word taught in schools here. Can your students read and write?
Yes, they can.
In English?
Yeah, in English.
Most of them.
Spell?
60%.
Do they get degrees and whatever it is in mathematics and still get they write their name? Jack Webster.
They get lower level degrees. No, as a matter of fact, our students in the last year or two have really been so bright and active and wonderful. They're a wonderful bunch of, much better than 10 years ago.
I see. I was only joking.
I think it was his qualifications he should remain as a professor.
And I think with yours you should remain in the furniture business.
Yeah, it doesn't fill his day.
It doesn't fill his day.
Right.
How can you say that? I have a visiting Polish professor. We are doing mathematical research together. I went on a meeting recently.
Forgive the racist joke. With a Polish professor.
Yeah, he's from Warsaw.
Did we leave a lady hanging?
Does it really matter? Go ahead, please. Where are you? Oh, you're gone.
We lost her.
Go ahead, please.
Yes, as an ex-student of Nathan Divinsky, I would like to just make comments on the function of the city council and the mayor.
Would you hold on and make it after the break, please? Now, break. As is my arrogant prerogative, I'm changing the rules for this, because I've got to do the fire hall thing, 4.5 minute segment. And I want you to come on when I open the button and answer the following question. Would you vote for Harry Hammer or Nathan Divinsky or both? So tell me, Hammer only, Divinsky only, both, just for fun, you know, instead of these...
Incidentally, Harry Hammer changed his name legally. I think I should do that too, and change my first name from Nathan to vote for.
Good idea, vote for Divinsky. Yeah. Good idea. Okay, now get it quite clear. I want no nonsense, please, callers. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or both?
Or neither.
Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
No.
Thank you. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or both?
Neither.
Thank you. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Neither.
Thank you. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither? Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither? Both, okay. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Hammer.
Thank you. One for Hammer. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Both, and we're lucky.
Both, good. That's what I think. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Neither.
Neither, good. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Hammer.
Hammer. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Hammer.
Hammer. Ho, ho, ho. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Hammer. If I could vote twice, I'd...
Okay, would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Hammer.
Hammer. Hammer's winning. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Hammer.
Hammer. My goodness, walk away. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Neither. I'd like to talk about...
No, thank you. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Both.
Both. Good. Well, which is both? That was...
Yeah, that was both.
That's both, that's right. We've got nothing for Divinsky yet.
Nothing for Webster either.
You mind your own business. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Both.
Both. Good. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Both.
Both. Good. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Hammer.
Hammer. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Neither.
Neither. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Divinsky.
Divinsky. My goodness.
I got a vote. I got a vote.
That's your first vote.
My first vote.
Divinsky. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither? Answer the question.
Divinsky.
Divinsky. Oh, the family's phoning. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Divinsky.
Divinsky. There's a sweep coming up. Wait till the West End bowls come in from the professors. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Webster.
Ah, that's a boy. That means neither.
Your family is working also.
How much time? Oh, I have time to do another 50 calls. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Hammer's the best.
Hammer's the best, eh? Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
Hammer, absolutely.
Hammer. How about you?
Hammer all the way.
How about you?
Please hang up now.
That sounds like that guy from T.E.A.M, Morris Boydie, who does the telephone things. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither? What are you? How about you? Divinsky. Very small.
I'm getting the young vote.
That's a spoiled ballot. Would you vote for Hammer or Divinsky or neither?
I wouldn't vote for Hammer if they never voted.
Would you vote for Divinsky?
Neither, but I wouldn't vote...
Okay, thank you. And you?
Yes, Dr. Divinsky.
Oh, snob. Academic. How about you?
Yes, Divinsky.
Divinsky. He's coming up. No. How about you?
Hammer, 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 hammer.
Good. How about you?
Hammer.
Hammer. How about you?
Divinsky.
Divinsky. How about you?
Hammer.
Hammer. How about you?
Divinsky.
Divinsky. How about you?
I'd like to see Hammer doing a talk show on CKVU.
Well, why bother? Nobody would see it. How about you?
Hammer.
Hammer. How about you?
Hammer.
Hammer's a walk away.
Yes.
I'll give you the interim score in the meantime. 16 for Ariama. 8 of them, it says, are pucks on both their houses.
No, they said they'd vote for both.
No, neither. That's neither.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Neither. And Divinsky now has 8.
And 5 said they'd vote for both of us.
That's right, 5 for both. That's
right.
correct.
Well, you need
Thank God you're here as a mathematician, otherwise I'd have been lost.
Of course, I'm probably 50
You
out.
need a scrutineer.
Not with me, I'm an honest man. Gentlemen, I've enjoyed this immensely. Thank you for taking part. I hope each of you wins in the election because you're a breath of fresh air and colour and have opinions. After the break. All is calm and serene again. A straight report from Anton. It could happen to you. You could have a fire hole in the bottom of your garden apart from fairies. Watch, Anton.
Jack, a lot of people might object to having a fire hall next door, but if you lived in the 1500 block of Hunter Street here in the district of North Vancouver, you might not be too worried about having the number 2 fire hall next door. There's not much you can do about it. The fire hall's been there for years, longer than some of the houses on this street, I'm sure. But if the fire department suddenly wanted to put a fire hall in your backyard, that might concern you. That's the case of the people who live in that house there. That's at 1521 Hunter Street. Now, the Noble family has had that house for some 30 years, sorry. Now, they've lived there for 30 years. But they've heard that the people from North Vancouver District want their backyard. The house is sitting on a 95 by 190 foot lot. And the fire department wants the back half of the lot to put a new fire hall on. Gone would be trees, grass, a garden, even a garage on the property. And the house would be left with nothing but a 9-foot backyard. And at that backyard, suddenly there would be a wall, the wall of the new fire station. So this is the Noble backyard. There are actually 2 lots in here, the back lot and then the lot that the house is on, sort of divided in half. But what they want to do is take a large part of this land. There's a stake down there. And the fire hall property, the wall would actually run right along here. The old fire hall, which they'll, of course, tear down, is just behind on another lot. Now, Lark Noble, when did you find out about this expropriation? Tell me about how they sort of came to you and said, hey, we're going to take your land.
They delivered a message on September the 12th that they'd passed a bylaw on August the 25th, and we were fairly surprised.
So 2 weeks after somebody made a decision to take your land, they told you about it?
Correct.
You never knew about it beforehand?
No.
Pretty surprised?
Rather.
Did you think that this is the way civic politics works, that they come along and do it this way?
Well, I never paid much attention to the politics before, but I'm awake now.
When did you find out they first wanted, they don't want the house, do they?
No.
They just want the land back there. So when did you first find out that they wanted your property?
Oh, September 12th.
But I meant, when did they first say
I see what you're saying.
They wanted the property?
Oh, about 2 years ago, they approached us and said, would you like to sell? And they would approach us every now and then, ask us again, and we kept refusing and kept refusing.
Did they offer you a lot of money?
Not a great deal, some.
How much did they offer you?
Oh, the first offer I think was about $75,000, and about a year later they offered $170,000.
Of course, the property values had risen. That's a lot of money. Why didn't you take it?
Well, we're not that interested in the money. We're comfortable here. We're both close to our work, and we just as soon live in the house that was left to us by our grandparents.
So your grandparents left you the house. Now, how long were they here? I mean,
they built the house back in the late 40s, early 50s. This house has been here for about 30 years or so.
So it's not that old a house, but you have an attachment to it, you say?
Right. We grew up here for the first 11, 12 years of our lives, and then we left with our parents and lived somewhere else. And then when my grandmother died, she left us this place, and we came back and resumed our home here.
So it's not just money that you're after. You're fighting to keep something that you had in your family.
Absolutely.
So what would it take, though? I mean, could they offer you a bunch of money?
Well, we're not interested in moving.
You just don't want to move?
Correct.
But then they said, okay, you don't have to leave. We'll just take some of the property.
Yeah. I just resent that. It's just, I've got to stop these people somehow. It's just.
You just didn't believe it could happen this way?
No, absolutely not. They've got too much power.
You've now, since they came to you, what have you done? You've gone to council.
Right. We requested an audience, which they granted. I was allowed to read a statement there, which gave our side of the story, which hadn't previously been presented to any of the aldermen. So I didn't know what their reaction was. They gave no reaction at that time. They said they would consider my statement in camera and get back to us in a week, perhaps 2 weeks at the latest.
But you have to put a fire hall somewhere. I mean, North Vancouver needs a fire hall, and you can't argue with that.
Right. I have no objection to having a fire hall, but I don't want it in our backyard. I understand that this community needs a new fire hall, but there are alternate sites, and they needn't expropriate private property. They can simply go out and buy some that's on the market. There's some available right down the street from us.
And if it all fails, you lose your faith in civic government, I guess?
Right.
And if they say we're going to build, is there sort of a solution?
Well, we don't want to live here if they're going to have a fire hall 9 feet off the back of our place. I mean, we just don't want to live here with that. So we'll either sell the place, or perhaps our lawyer can make them take the whole thing.
Jack, whether you're traveling by fire truck or by car, it takes you a little while to get to the District Municipal Hall here in North Vancouver. Mayor Bell, is the district an ogre that went along and expropriated people's property?
No, in fact, this expropriation, which is one of the first of a home, well, it's not even a home, we're taking a piece of property, but it's one of the first expropriations that directly affects that we've had in maybe 15 years. We have from time to time expropriated small portions of land for sewer easements or for road right-of-way.
Why do you have to expropriate?
Well, because, quite simply, all efforts to purchase the property through the normal channels have failed.
Right, but why do you need this location?
Well, the existing fire hall, the Hunter Street Hall, has been there for a number of years. And we have considered a number of other sites. The hall has become outdated. It needs to be modernized. It needs to be upgraded. The hall itself has maintenance problems. There's a leaky roof. It's really not suitable accommodation anymore.
No one argues that you don't need a new hall, a new place. But isn't there a better place? Isn't there other land in the area that you could have used?
Well, if our fire department and our staff have looked at it, and council have considered those reports, and we feel that the hall should not be located very much away from where it is right now. That hall serves an unusual area. It is, instead of being in the center of a circle, you can't take a map and circle a compass around it. It serves almost a cigar on either end of it. It serves
north and south.
That's right. It serves the industrial area to the south and commercial area, and it serves across the Upper Levels Highway, the Cap College, Linmore residential area.
So you build the hall, you've got a wall 9 feet from their house. What do you do to help them?
Well, they have 2 lots. We only need 1 lot for the expansion. We have said that we're not going to expropriate the lot we don't need that has the house on it, because then people could rightly accuse us of expropriating a piece of property that we don't actually need. What we're saying is we have tried to purchase the other piece of property. Those efforts have failed, so we're now expropriating that piece of property, and we have offered by resolution to purchase the second piece of property with the house on it at fair market value.
In other words, they have basically one huge piece of property that is 2 lots.
That's
you
right.
need half of it, but if instead of making them look at a wall, you'll purchase the section that has the house on it and give them a good fair market value for it.
And then what we would do is turn around and sell that house and lot to somebody for a residence. In other words, they would buy knowing they're next to a fire hall.
But they're not going to pay you as much if they've got a...
No, this is a possibility.
So
The market will determine.
You'll take a loss.
If it comes to that, yes.
So can you fight City Hall? Well, in this case, it's hard to say whether or not their arguments will succeed. No one can argue that a fire hall isn't needed in that site around Mountain Highway and Hunter Street. On the other hand, the Nobles have a pretty persuasive argument. Their family has been in that location for some time, and they just don't want to give up any of the property. They have won one thing. They've won another hearing before City Council here next Monday night.
And we'll see what happens then. But it can happen to you, and perhaps properly so. I'm not saying no. After the break.